Hello everyone, welcome to week 2 of IT 2670 C++ programming. Today we are going to be looking at some important concepts, basically the structure of C++ programs, how do we do input output. So basic syntax, structure, and then we are going to see input output, and then we are going to look at data types, which leads us to variables. And then we're going to write a small program. I believe in learning by doing. So instead of like dwelling into each and every topic, trying to understand the theory, it would be easier for us to understand if we dive right in and start writing some code. First, let's go into REPL. So this is my REPL. It's called demo week 2. And then when I created demo week 2 in C++, it created a main.cpp, and then this here is the code for main.cpp in the middle, and then on the right side we have the output window. Let's examine the structure. The first statement is hashtag include IOStream. Whenever you see an include statement, it is a library. We are including this code as part of our code. So this is something that is coming to us free. It's part of the C++ libraries that is available for us to use. The second statement that you see, if you don't have this in your code, you have to add it. So let me show you by creating a brand new one. Create a REPL. C++, doesn't matter what the name is. So if you just go in and create a new REPL, it would be a tiny bit different. See, you do not see the using statement, you see the include, and then you see something weird here. So let's go with this one. Let me copy this. So when you create a new C++ program, you are not going to see the using statement here, but then you're going to see this particular version here. So instead of that, what we can do is we can just say using namespace std. It serves the same purpose. So there's nothing different. So you could go with this approach. Because every time you say cout, if you don't use this, you have to keep saying std : cout, std : cin, which is a big pain. So instead of that, if you do this way, it's easier. So let me quickly explain what is the difference between the first statement and the second statement. Okay, when you use include, if this is your program and this is a library, in your program, wherever you make a reference, this library will be added to your code. Okay, and that is why it is called as include. So we say pound hashtag include, pound include. Whereas the namespace refers to something totally different. A namespace is like this. So if you are in your house, people don't use your last name to refer to you, right? So they call you Pete or Jesse. In my case, Manjula. Nobody is going to use the last name because we are the only person there. Okay, if somebody wants to call us inside this house, they just refer to us by our first name. But if you go into a mall and then they make an announcement for a Pete or a Jesse, they are going to say your last name because this Pete is going to be different than this Pete. So they are different Petes. There could be multiple people with the same first name. So you have to quantify that with like Pete Smith or Pete, whatever it is. So this is how the using statement also works. So if you say this is your home ground, you don't have to use your last name, right? Similarly, when you are able to go and declare using namespace std, you don't have to like say every time std colon colon. You don't have to do this every time you use an object or a function from within that library. You don't have to say this every time, because the namespace is kind of like your home ground. You don't have to mention that. So these are the first two statements. 4 and 6 are very important because it is called as the main function. The main body of your code is going to be there. Any code you write from now on is going to be within that function. So you can see the curly braces here. You're going to be writing code within those curly braces. Okay, and let's look at number 5. Number 5 is read as cout. Cout is an object that is part of the IOStream library. It is used to display any variable or text to the console. Let's run the code. On the right side you can see it says hello world. Okay, what is this last little thing that never printed? What is that? It is called as a new line. If you want the next statement, if you have multiple cout statements and you want them to be in separate lines, when you put like the new line character here, line 2 will be in its own line and not like attached to line 1. Okay. You can now see that when I have 5 times I'm writing hello, because I put this end line in the end, it is able to like print that in like brand new lines. If I don't have end line, it is going to smush the first 2 lines together, which is not desirable. So you can use end line, or you could use the /n, which is also new line. So let's do the last one like this. My bad, I have the / instead of the /. So /n should fix that, and that's the same as end line. So you could either use this guy or end line endl. Both will give you the same result, as you can see here. So why do we care about this? Because this is the way we format or display, which is very important. It doesn't matter what the program does, as if it cannot display the result properly, it defeats the purpose. And that is why it is very important. Okay, we saw how to print any value. So the next topic that we want to come to is about a simple example. So we had all the fun doing the display. So now maybe we have to move from output. We completed output. Let's go into input. How do we get input? So if output is going to be cout, input is going to be cin. If output is going to be using the insertion operator, input is going to be using the extraction operator. Okay, so cin, and then you have the extraction operator, and then you give the name of the variable that is going to store your data. That is the format. Now let's think about a simple example. Let us say like we want to capture the name of student, age, and GPA. So name of student, let's say, is Jason, age 19, GPA is 3.53. Okay, so we see if we see this example, all of the data that we are storing in these if this is the name of the variables, this is the data we are storing, the type of data this variable should belong to. This is going to be a string. This is going to be an integer because it stores whole numbers, and this could be a float or a double. A double can store, so it can be a double or a float. A double can store up to 7, how many digits is that? I think 14 digits, and then float can store up to 7 digits after the decimal point. I like to go with the double just for safety's sake. It's better to have more storage option if we need it. So we have to like use the cin to capture this data and store them in this variable. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing right now. Okay, so we can say cin. So let's declare the variable string name, int age, and then what do we have? Double is going to be GPA. So now let's go and do cin name. Looks like I'm having a little bit of Wi-Fi issue. So we can say name, age, GPA. Okay, when we say this and then we try to get input, it is not very intuitive as to what is expected from the user, what is supposed to be entered. Because the program knows what it is expecting, but the user does not know because the program is not telling them what is to be provided. So that is why we use something called as a prompt. A prompt is a display statement meant for the sole purpose of getting input. Okay, my server is slow today. My server response is slow here. So let me just run it. So this cout clarifies what input I need. Okay, this cout clarifies what we need. All statements in C++ should end with a semicolon. If we don't have it, it's going to error. That's what we saw right now. Let's see how our luck is right now. Let me run the program and see what happens. So you should be seeing a prompt now, and then it will wait for input, and when we enter the input, it gets saved in the variable. So you can see the prompt now. Enter name, let me say Jason, enter age 19, enter GPA 3.53. Okay, now we have not done anything with the data we collected, so we can write code to display all of this information. So I can say cout student name Okay, I'm just saying student named Jason has GPA of whatever. So I'm going to run this code now and I should be able to see output. So Jason, age 19, GPA 3.53. There, student named Jason has GPA of 3.53. You can see Jason and has are like stuck together because I didn't leave enough space here. So when you leave enough space, then you should be able to see that happen. Okay, so this is a very simple concept. So there are other data types. We also have Boolean, like I said, float, double. So those are also available. And then when we go for complex data types, we have like arrays, structures, class, and so on and so forth. But for the time being, the primitive data types are going to be your string, int, float, double, Boolean. Boolean has a 1 or 0. It's like true or false. So I could have a Boolean likes red color, whether Jason likes red color or not. And then I could set that here saying likes red color equal to true. Okay, and then I could say and then I can say here likes red color. Okay, so I'm going to run this just to show you. I set this value to true, which means when you display it, it's not going to show you true, it's going to display you 1. See, it says 1 instead of true. So when it is stored in the data, it is converted to 1 and 0, 1 or 0, depending on true or false. Just wanted to quickly show that to you. So that's pretty much what we wanted to cover today. There is another content. If you see in your content folder, there is a link to information about how this code that we write gets converted, to an executable in C++. C++ has compiler and linker, and there is a little bit of code that explains about a small article that explains about this particular so there is an article here that I want you to read, and then I want you to share your thoughts about it, comparing to another language that you've already learned. So that will be your discussion board for the week. So this is for you to read. These are the free materials that are available, what the concepts we covered today. Input, output, and then we have the basic syntax, data types, and variables. And then there is a lab here for you to do. It's 25 points, and it is due always Monday midnight. So I hope this helps, and I hope that you are able to complete this lab successfully. It's very similar to what we did, so I don't think there will be any problem. And if you have any issues, send me an email and I'll be more than happy to assist you. Thanks and have a great day. Bye-bye.